All right, I'm here with David Marsh, one of the most prolific financial journalists in the UK and an expert of central banking. You've just presented your second edition of the book about the euro. So do you think the euro is going to survive?
The euro will survive, but it'll be a different sort of euro now. The euro as it was originally conceived, which would be a very stable currency with a strong internal equilibrium, is now dead because that won't happen. The ECB is no longer the successor to the Bundesbank as a very independent, steadfast central bank. It's got caught up in all sorts of conflicts of interest. So the character of the euro has now changed, but it will survive because there's a great need in the world economy to have another reserve currency as an alternative to the dollar.
So do you think it will survive with all its current members?
No, I think in order that it should survive and prosper and go back to being a predictable, calculable, stable currency, it does need to slim down, and therefore the currencies that will be part of the euro in the future will be more or less what we used to have in the old Deutsche Mark bloc, the countries which are already fairly convergent with Germany.
So this means Greece and Portugal and other southern countries will have to be kicked out.
Well, I don't know about kicked out. I think they will decide themselves. Certainly Greece will, I think, decide itself at some stage. I can't say when. It could still take another 3 years. It's very difficult to predict. But they will decide of their own volition that it's not good to stay in there because it will be painful to leave, but it's even more painful to stay.
Don't you think that leaving the euro would be economic and probably political suicide for those countries?
Well, that's what people say, and I don't think it would be very sensible at the moment. I think they've got to stay a little bit longer and then try to carry out some bargains with the creditor countries. So it's going to be a rather long, drawn-out denouement, because the Germans will never say, you must leave. That's the recipe from the Second World War. The Germans cannot lay down a diktat. But the countries will have to decide themselves what to do. And at the moment, I think you're right, it would be folly for them to leave now. But if they were to leave, let's say, in a year's time, it may not be so foolish.
But do you think an orderly exit from the euro is possible at all?
It won't be very orderly, no, but staying is not orderly either.
So, with the benefit of hindsight, do you think it was a mistake to introduce a single currency in Europe?
I think Europe would more or less be in the same position now in terms of economic growth over the last 12 years if we hadn't had the euro. But maybe it's a necessary experiment. Maybe all human beings have to go through some learning processes. And so no doubt we've learnt a lot from all this. So I don't know whether it was a mistake. It may even bring some value by having shown us in a laboratory fashion how difficult it is to forge a single currency amongst countries which are rather disparate and remain so stubbornly and don't actually learn the lessons of history. So it's taught us a little bit about the lessons of history.
So we just heard a presentation by Norman Lamont, who was quite cheerful about the UK not being part of the euro. Do you think that's a right perception?
Well, if the UK had been a member of the euro, our crisis which we've had, our economic problems would have been even worse. And also we would have infected Europe with our own problems. So it's better for everybody that the UK remains outside.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.